Okay, hi everybody. My name is Sue Quillen. I'm the VP of Strategy and Partnerships here at Natural Products Canada. We are super excited about the session that we're going to have today with Dawn Thompson from Beacon Commerce and Rebecca and Dom from Beck's Broth. So before we get to hear from them, I'm just going to tell you a couple of things. I know there's lots of people coming on to the webinar right now. But I just want to tell you a little bit about MPC because I know from looking through the list of attendees that not everybody knows who we are. So quickly, Mira, can you just skip us to the next slide? Well, okay. Essentially, we're here to help Canadian early stage companies take advantage of this $4 trillion opportunity that we see in bio-based solutions. And they can be applied across a broad range of sectors, everything from sort of the food and nutrition and food tech, which is really what Beck and Don will be talking about today, all the way over to bioequivalence, green tech, clean tech, packaging, all these things that can be made to be from biological sources, so they're better for people, animals, and the planet. So that's our whole thing. And we can just skip right through that one. We do that through a combination. Can you just go to the next slide, Mira? We do that through a combination of advice and connections and capital. So we have an excellent, very small team, but incredibly experienced and talented in terms of helping early stage companies develop their product and get to market, providing that kind of advice and providing connections to interesting strategic partners, service providers like Dawn, investors, other people who can help the companies grow. And we also have non-dilutive capital that we can provide to companies up to $350,000 to help them develop and scale their product. So I'm just going to go to the next slide, Mira. So far, this is very braggy, but I do want to say that we've invested in 82 companies. We've provided advice and guidance to hundreds more, like about 1,600. But the 82 companies that we have provided capital to have done extremely well. They've developed new products. They've added more jobs. They've increased their exports. They've increased their revenues. And the thing that we're super proud of is that with our $9.1 million, they've been able to attract almost $480 million in additional capital. That means every dollar that we've given out, they've been able to attract 53. 43 of that is actual private equity, and another 10 is public funds. So that really matters because I know from talking to lots and lots and lots of early stage companies, being able to attract capital is really important. And so that's one of the key things that we focus on, is helping companies get ready to be really attractive investment opportunities for investors. So that's all about MPC. If you want to know more, please reach out to us. You have our email because you signed up for this, and we'll be happy to get you connected to other members of our team. So without further ado, I really am excited to have this conversation with Dawn and Rebecca and Dominique. This started because, well, we've known Dawn for a while, and Dawn's helped out several of our clients before, and has actually done webinars for us before to help people understand how Amazon works and how to work with it. And we've been working with Beck's Broth for quite a while as well. I think it was 2 or 3 years ago that you were one of the companies that we had in our Incubator Alley cohort at CHFA when you were just getting started. And I can't believe how much you've grown since then. So it's awesome. And then last year, Beacon Commerce had a contest, the Shine on Amazon contest. And so we decided to sponsor it because so many of our clients were, working in that space and working with Dawn, and we thought it'd be a great opportunity. So we said, okay, whoever wins, if they're in the natural product space, we'll give them $1,000 to use for that Amazon ad spending that they need to really launch themselves. So lo and behold, it was Beck's Broth that won the contest, and so they were able to use that extra $1,000 to help with their ad spend. And that's really when these two got talking together, and we've been so impressed and intrigued by the way this relationship has formed and what Beacon has been able to do to help Bex become, really successful on Amazon in a pretty short amount of time. So really excited to have this conversation and hopefully provide some of the learnings, some of the lessons that were maybe painful, and help other people avoid them and learn really what they can be doing differently or thinking about doing if they haven't started on Amazon so far. So, Don, nice to have you. Please take yourself off mute. We want to hear lots
We're
from you.
here.
And yeah, I'll just let you guys introduce yourselves really quickly, and then I'll jump into some questions.
Sure. I'll go first to get it out of the way. So Don Thompson, Beacon Commerce. And yeah, we're an Amazon growth agency. Our focus is to really get brands onto Amazon, onto the digital shelf, but in a profitable way. And that's a big part of what we do is making sure you understand your numbers because Amazon can be a bit of a jungle and really helping you navigate that is where we stand.
Love
Becky,
that.
Dom.
So my name is Becky. I am the founder and CEO of Bex Broth here. So we take bone broth and we just make it taste like your everyday favorite beverages, like a bone broth hot chocolate, coffee, or matcha. So you get 15 grams of protein per serving. And yeah, it tastes absolutely delicious.
I'm drinking one right now. I'm Dom, I'm my business partner. I'm the COO, so I handle more operations and finance. And yeah, we're just having a great time around here. Excited for today.
Excellent. Okay. Oh, I forgot. We were going to do one quick thing. We have a little poll. Mira, can you pop up the poll for a second? So I want to get a sense of how people are using Amazon themselves, and how many of you have actually been actually using Amazon to sell your product. So if you wouldn't mind just popping your answers into the poll, that would be great. We won't give you very much.
We can't do it, Becky.
Oh, I was literally.
Yeah, it was too.
He read you like a book. Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I saw.
All right. Okay, I'm going to give you like one more minute. And maybe while we're just getting those answers, I'll just queue up Dawn, because what it looks like is there's mostly people who are just thinking about it. So with that in mind, can you just throw out a couple of things quickly about some things they should be thinking about if they are haven't done anything yet?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we're meeting with clients or potential clients, they're thinking about Amazon and they're typically scared. They're scared because they've spoken to other founders who have had a miserable experience with Amazon, and it can be if you're not careful, or they've had an experience where they just didn't make any money. And so what I try to do is go through, well, let's take a step back and just go, does your customer shop on Amazon? If the answer is yes, then we go, well, now how can we get on Amazon? Is it unique sizing, bundling? Is it a different price strategy? Is there a way to make sure you're reaching those customers? And there's lots of ways in which we can do that. We can use Amazon as a growth channel where we're investing marketing dollars and we're really trying to make it fly. Or we can use Amazon as a marketing channel. And when you use Amazon as a marketing channel, it's more about protecting yourself because when somebody goes into a store, most of us shop with our phone in our hand and we scan it. We look to see what are the reviews on Amazon because people trust the reviews and what's the price on Amazon. I don't want to stop, delay that gratification of buying it off the shelf at Whole Foods or what have you, but certainly they're going to check it. And so we can come up with a strategy that fits your business because not all businesses are set for Amazon. Real quick example, glass jars are horrible on Amazon. Glass is heavy, they break, there's extra packaging and handling required. We can do it, and we just have to make sure it makes sense for you. So, it's not a one size fits all approach for it. And there have been folks that have reached out to me through my network and helping, find people like Rebecca and team. And it's just not the right channel, right? Like, let's talk about, how it can maybe support yourselves or, what, here's some tips and tricks. You can easily do this yourself and manage it because I don't want you to have a bad experience overall.
Right. Okay, that's excellent. I'm going to get Mira to share the results of the poll if she can, because one thing there that you said was interesting. So, how many packages does Amazon ship each day? You guys actually all overestimated it. The actual number is 1.6 million, but it's a lot. So, getting back to Dawn's comment there, if you know that your customer is actually buying on Amazon, and I don't know how we can figure that out, maybe Dawn could tell us.
I can tell you.
But a lot of people are. And interesting, I'm glad that there was nobody who said they shop several times a day on Amazon, but I do know people that do. But
Yeah.
somewhere mixed here between weekly and monthly. So you can see that it is a pretty regular thing for us to be doing now. And as I said, you kind of got a majority of people here that are starting to think about it, and are another sort of close second is working on my brand to set it up. So
Yep.
We've got a lot of people who are probably having a lot of questions about how to do it. So I think we're in the
Yep.
right spot.
Very cool.
So to get to that question, Rebecca and Dom, why did you decide to go on Amazon? Why did you think that was a good idea for you? Did you have any data to back it up?
Yeah, I can take this one to start. So I don't know if you guys or if anybody here is familiar with Beck's Broth, but in the beginning stages of my business, in the first 2 years, I wasn't making bone broth that was a shelf-stable powder. I was actually making bone broth that was liquid in a glass jar that required to be in the freezer or refrigerator. And those first 2 years were so hard for me while I was scaling the business. And I knew that I needed a product that was shelf stable and light in weight so I can sell it in the e-com world. That was just always such a huge goal of mine. And then eventually one day on Amazon. So that's kind of how I was thinking in the beginning. I just needed to create a product that was going to be easy to sell through Amazon and the e-com space. And so when we finally got there, about almost in November, it'll be 2 years that this product kind of came to shelves. We started with just selling on our own website, and we realized like, oh my goodness, there's so much traction there, month after month growth. And then I just realized, well, we're still not in Amazon. And I know that it's just such a buzzword for products to be on Amazon, because that's where I look first. When I'm shopping for a new product, you better believe I'm typing in like bone broth in the search bar. I want to figure out what's out there. I want to figure out what's on the first page and what the ratings are. Just like Dawn said, you really trust reviews that are out there, and Amazon just makes it such a seamless process for shoppers to purchase products. I'm forgetting what the initial question was. What was the initial question? Just so I can make sure that I'm clear. Oh, why do we want to? Yeah. So pretty much just to reach more of our consumers. We wanted to blast off in the e-com world, and a huge part of doing that is getting listed onto Amazon and getting those reviews.
Yeah, excellent. Okay. I know that there, in the conversations that I had with Dawn that made me think we really should have this webinar, some of the stuff that you talked about was the fact that, not just moving from glass jars and liquid to something else, but sometimes there were other things that really needed to be changed, and you figured that out along the way, that you actually needed a different offer for what was going on Amazon versus what you might be selling elsewhere. Do you want to talk about that, both of you? Either one.
I can start, because I know when I first chatted with Beck and Dom, we look at their website and they're having great traction. There's a lot of great forward momentum, but there's a high price point. This is a premium product, right? And so for somebody to discover this product and buy this product, the price point they have on their website of $109 for a first-time Amazon customer is a tough one for them to swallow. So what we did is we came up and said, well, what's a price point that we can make money at and allows people to experience the brand? And that's where, with the fee structures and things, we came up with a 5-pack. Now, obviously, that has a lot of operational overhead, and Dom and team, there it is, right? And I think you've launched that now at Chapters Indigo.
Yeah. We started to roll out to some retailers because people started seeing the 5-pack that on Amazon, and they're like, well, we want that. Like, we want to list that. We love the size, the shape, and the price point.
Right.
Mm.
And so when we went through that effort, and it is a lot of effort to obviously get co-packing set up and boxes set up and all that fun
We
stuff.
pushed you back months. I think we launched a
Yeah.
couple months later than we want to because it
Yeah.
took so much time to get it perfect.
Right. But, when we did it and going through that analysis, like that's the thing that we do, and we try to help clients with this is really saying, can you make money? And the six pack would have pushed us into a slightly bigger box size, which meant we went to a new fee structure, which meant our profitability came down. A 4 pack and a 5 pack, there was no difference in terms of profitability. So like, okay, like fee structures, so throw the extra one in there and maximize. So that was a big part of the strategy conversation at the beginning to make sure that it fit with their overall business and that they could handle the operation. Because the good news for me, at least, is I don't have to do any of that boxing. That's none of that's my problem. That's all Dom's problem. And so I just come up with the ideas and help run the profitability.
Yeah. And to echo on that, I think that's where working with you was so beneficial, because if you ever tried to log into like Amazon Seller Central,
Oh my goodness.
pull your own data, I don't even know the login because I don't care. Like, that's your problem.
That's my problem.
But just
Yeah.
having those informed conversations with you, being like, hey, we're scared because everyone's telling us we're not going to be profitable and Amazon is this huge beast. And you're like, well, if you do 4, this is what it's going to cost. If you do 5, this is what it's going to cost. This is what I think you should do. You're always on Amazon. You're working with other brands. So you were able to break down those numbers for us in a really good way for our brand. And then also compare those numbers to other brands and their velocity.
Yes.
They're doing on Amazon too. So we had case studies and data to show, hey, if you price it here, you could get up to this velocity because this other brand is doing this. So just having all of that insight is something that I don't think I would have had time for, or just like the knowledge to be able to figure it out on my own.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. Oh, sorry, Dom, were you gonna say something?
No, just saying, like, and the tools that we
Yeah.
use, they're professional tools.
Mhm.
Anyone can buy them, but it's like, I'm open with all the tools. I show people how it's done because it's like somebody handing me the engine repair guide to my car. It's like,
Mhm.
yeah, here you
Exactly.
go.
Awesome.
Good luck, right? And so,
Yeah.
we use the tools. We spend a lot of time with those tools, but it gives us the data, and data's got to lead the way. And Beck and Dom know a lot about the channel out there, what retailers are telling them, and all the positive momentum, and how do we feed that back into the system, but then also look at some of the competitors and go, well, hey, I notice a 4 pack of this Broya product is here, and what does that mean, and how are they doing? And we can get some good data to see how it fits price point wise to make some informed decisions.
Yeah. You guys have said lots of things here that I think are excellent, but I'm wondering if maybe we need to just step back a little bit and kind of go through, like, what does the process look like? If I'm thinking about, putting my product on Amazon, what will that process look like for me? Is it going to take, 6 months to do the planning, and what's involved in, what are the steps?
Yeah, so just from an onboarding process, what we tell people is from when you decide to sell on Amazon, it's 6 weeks. Okay. And the first part of this is, do you have a trademark? And the number of people that at the small business kind of scaling level tell me they don't have a trademark. I'm like, okay, go spend $1,200, get a trademark. Because when we have a trademark, that allows us to protect ourselves on Amazon, as well as protect yourselves in other channels and the like. So having a trademark is key. Then we look and say, okay, now can you be profitable? So we do an analysis of sizes and weights and different configurations based upon your cost of goods for those products to see, is there kind of a sniff of hope in driving profitability based upon a reasonable ad spend. Once we know that, then we're like, okay, it kind of passes the muster, and now we can say, okay, we can go do this. We're going to create the page, we're going to create the storefront, we're going to create the A+ content that gives a great experience for customers. Do you have a brand guideline? And a number of, again, small clients don't have a brand guideline. Now, the good news with Beck and Dom is they've got the branding side down. Their stuff looks awesome. They have great content, but making sure you have a brand guideline so that someone can then translate that information into an experience. And once we have that, then we can start kind of blowing this out. And while we're doing the creative process, and just to be clear, the creative process was not me. I'm the numbers and operations type guy. Wonderful lady on my team, Diana. Plus, we have some great graphic designers that we contract with who kind of fit the different brand strategies.
Crushed it, by the way.
Yeah. We were
I think-
nervous.
Oh,
It's so
100%.
handing
Yeah.
your branding over to somebody and saying, hey, design us a store when
Yeah.
we're not really in touch. We had some initial meetings. And so we
Yeah.
were so nervous because
Yeah.
we love our branding and you guys made us look incredible. You took our assets, you took our vibe and just like designed this beautiful storefront where we had minimal feedback of being like what to update.
Yeah.
When like we looked at it being like, wow, like they got the mission. Like they
No,
they
they
we
they
will
crushed
look at
it.
it. We will look at it in just a second, but yeah, that's a really interesting point. Before we move on from that, is there sort of a next step?
Yeah, once we have the store and stuff, we're doing all that in parallel. We're setting up your products in the system. And so we set up products. Typically, having a GS1 UPC is important because that allows you to kind of track things in the system. It allows you to avoid labeling costs. And so we recommend people having GS1 as their UPC provider, not just random UPCs you can buy out there. So having that allows us to set things up. And then while creative is happening, we're working with the operations folks like Dom to get shipments and everything else moving through the system because these can flow in parallel. And
Yeah.
so the total cycle time, 6 weeks is what it takes. Sometimes it takes a bit longer because there's operational things or because the content takes a bit longer, whatever. But it's a typical 6-week timeline, and you're shipping and you're selling. The good news with selling on Amazon is you do not need thousands of units to be on
Yeah.
Amazon, right? And we should talk about that at some point because definitely
Yeah.
some inventory challenges.
Mm.
Again, a high class problem when you're being so successful in other channels, but you don't need to have thousands of units. You can get by with hundreds to kind of prime the system and get it moving. And so that's where we're helping with that forecasting and just making sure that we always stay in stock.
Nice. That's an excellent overview. Let's not keep people waiting. Let's take a look at the page the store that you set up
Oh, sure.
for it, because it is awesome. And I think it's really great maybe for you to kind of walk through the different aspects of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then Dom, I want to hear from you later about some of the operational issues and challenges that you had, but I just want to show people the great stuff first.
Yeah.
Oh
So-
yeah, get ready.
Okay, so I'll just show, because I'll just take you through the actual journey here. So this is Amazon Canada. We're also on Amazon.com now, but we'll focus on Canada right now. So everything starts at this spot, okay? Everyone's gonna type in, and what do they type? Beck's broth, okay? What we wanna see pop up is, this is a brand defense strategy. We have great content that fits the product. We take over that premium real estate on the top of the page.
Mm-hmm.
Sponsored, sponsored, sponsored. Okay, so the first 5 slots here are sponsored. Now we don't have enough products to take up all the slots, or we would, but these guys are targeting Beck's broth. And so
Wow.
we're up here. So you got Broya coming after you, girls. You got Organica coming after you. And then here's our first organic rankings. Okay. What we're looking for here is making sure that, are we in the right category of products? Are the other things that are around us, do they match? And they do. So it looks pretty good. When we click on one of the pages, what we're doing is we're making sure we have great content and zoomable images. So pro tip, 1,000 pixels on the shortest side, under 10 megabytes gives you zooming. Okay. But there's some requirements that Amazon has for the nutrition facts, and this is for any natural health product or grocery goods, same kind of product. And then talking about our product. Now we've really leaned into the Made in Canada because of the whole Made in Canada motion happening right now. And so we've leaned into that, and this has helped some conversion rate pretty dramatically, that little flag on the side there that we added. So showing people how to use it, what to do with it, making sure we have great product details. And honestly, the product details bullets, nobody reads them, but they're great for SEO. And so we want to make sure that they're in there with the right content strategy. Amazon is putting ads here, and we're advertising against ourselves to take up some slots. It's a brand protection strategy. And then we do the content. So the Beck's broth piece here, this is something called Premium A+, and you have to apply for it. And so typically this itself Once you have it, may take a few weeks to a month for Amazon to unlock it for us, but it's a way better experience. It allows continuous flow. It allows us to have videos in here. We have some great, trust, here's NPC there. And then here's all our flavors and such. So you add these and you have your FAQs, which is more of, does it contain dairy? How often should I drink it? So this just matches what we have on the website. We then have the brand story. And the brand story, I love this picture, by the way. I'm not sure who did it, but
My
that's
favorite picture ever.
Academy Award, seriously.
I know.
It's really a wonderful picture. And so this allows us to, again, continue to tell our story. All of this is indexing on Amazon and is going to show us better up on the site. Okay. Now, the storefront is the next piece, because this guy here, if I were to click on that here, I'm not going to, because it's going to cost them, that is going to take them to the storefront. And the storefront allows us to tell more of the story for what we have. We can, again, put these wonderful videos in here. We can add little GIFs. We can bring shop to it. So this will take you directly to the page. And so the reason we do a storefront as well as the A+ is because on Amazon, we have assets that'll drive to the store. But the best part is once we start opening up the funnel for off Amazon targeting to Amazon, landing on the storefront allows us to tell our story. The one thing you don't see on a storefront are ads. When I'm on somebody's page, Amazon doesn't care what they sell. Okay, I'm taking this slot, I'm taking that slot, but here's all these other products that Amazon just wants to sell a product. When we have it on our storefront, it's just us, right? And so we always recommend having a storefront that allows you to tell your story, drive external traffic to convert on Amazon, because that also helps us with rankings and organic love on the site, right? But yeah, I think the storefront came together really well. Again, I want to be very clear. I had nothing to do with the store. The design, the strategy, okay, I got it. But the design of it, that was all the team with Janet and Diana who put this together.
That looks wonderful.
Yeah. So but yeah, that's the story of the store.
It's awesome. Okay. I have questions. But I want to, first of all, one thing that people need to know, I think, is that it's not a set it and forget it. And I think you kind of alluded to that by several of the things that you said there. Maybe we could talk about that. And then I want to get to some challenges that you have.
Yeah. So Amazon is not a set and forget platform. You will see some pages that are not as vibrant, that are just like 3 bullets. I always pick on Oreo cookies. The reason Oreo cookies sells because everyone knows what Oreo cookies are. And so it's like, here's a bag of Oreo cookies and go buy it for $9 or whatever it is. For brands like Beck's and for other up and coming brands that are really trying to break in, you have to tell more of a story. And so much is about that story supporting the brand that they would see in other touch points. So it has to align. Amazon is notoriously difficult with a few things. One, shipping, receiving. They have that's a big operation, and so they lose things. We need to make sure that we've got a feedback loop there to get your money back if they've actually lost it, or to get them to look harder and find it. They also take products down, and in this, you have to be really careful what you say, especially in natural health products. You have, like, typically you have an NPN, natural product number. This is a grocery good, and so we don't have that. But there's so many benefits of bone broth that if I state those, it would get it taken down. And so you can't just, this is not a Wikipedia page that randomly went up. You have to have it, scientifically backed. But even then, Amazon may take it down just to prove that you're not guilty. Okay. So that's where the set it and forget it piece is not there. That's why having professional management for some of this stuff absolutely makes a lot of sense. Ads is the last thing. If we're going to push it with ads is a very expensive education if you're not careful. I've talked to many, many people who tried to do it themselves, who ran ads, and then spent $1,000 and like, oh crap, I don't make any sales. And like, that's a bad day. And so having someone, if you're going to run ads on Amazon, have someone who's managing that professionally, who knows what they're doing, manage your budgets, and is really strategically aligned with you. One of the things we do, because we're used to working with up and coming brands, is like, I know $500 is a lot of money, right? And I know $1,000. It's like, we can be scrappy but we also have to be realistic. I can't go after the term bone broth if I only have $500 because that's an $8 cost per click, right? So we've got to be strategic and smart about it, but then looking at how we invest in the channel. So from a professional management perspective, if you try to set it and forget it, you can end up losing a lot of money based on the ad spend, getting a lot of frustration when Amazon loses product or when they take your page down through no fault of your own, but it's just the nature of the beast.
Good points. Okay, ad spend. Dom, I know that you were talking earlier about how scary that is and all the things that go into making those decisions. You want to talk about that a bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So just to set the stage, I'm a scrappy girl. We're a bootstrapped business. Like we don't have money. And I'm the first one on our team to be like, oh, we could just do it ourselves. Like we don't need to pay someone else to do that. But I already said this, but with Amazon, you really do need to invest with a professional because one mistake can cost way more than like your annual fee of having your account professionally managed. But specifically when it comes to ads, what worked really well for us was just starting so small and just seeing how it goes. Because I feel like from what I learned in ads, it was like you had to spend like X amount a day for it to even work. But for us, it was like, I think it was like $500 a month and like something super simple that just gave us the confidence that we could run ads. And our return on ad spend was like up in the double digits, I think, at the beginning. It was like 12 or something like that.
So we double it.
Yeah. So now, yeah, like we would be stupid to not spend the money because we're getting it back right away. And that's just where it comes from working with a professional and having them actually know what to do, especially in this economy. Like ads don't work the way they used to, and you really need to be super dialed on your strategy.
Yeah, excellent. Okay. All right. Now, I know you did run into a very interesting challenge, and I want you, maybe I'll start with you guys to talk about it and then see what Dawn did to help out.
Yeah, so it was in the very beginning. So what is it called when we send all the inventory to get sent out? Multi-channel
The
fulfillment?
multi-channel fulfillment. Yeah.
So that's where they were sending out our Amazon orders, but then also our own e-commerce orders. So we sent out our 12 packs that were getting sold on our own personal website and then our 5 packs. And all of a sudden, we were so happy that we were finally launched on Amazon. We
Fired up.
They were going so fast. We sent all of our inventory to the warehouse and then they were going to ship it out. And finally our team member, Kayla, who was packing all the orders, was just so happy because she's like, now I don't need to do that. Amazon's going to handle packing the orders. And then all of a sudden I woke up one day and it was like a week of everybody sending me images of being like, I just received my order. My box is crushed. My box is the sachets on the inside were fine, so it didn't damage the product on the inside, but everybody's box was like ruined. And I felt so embarrassed, especially because we are a premium product. And it was nerve-wracking. It felt like my baby was just being all bruised and thrown around. And then especially for the people who are just trying Beck's broth for the first time, if they're spending $100 on an order and they're getting a box that's ripped up and flattened, I was just so embarrassed. And so that was definitely a hiccup that we experienced. And then it lasted for a couple of weeks and we ended up pivoting to a point where we ended up, we didn't do the multi-channel fulfillment. We actually took all the inventory for our own website. We took it back and then we started to work with like a third-party logistics company, so our 3PL. But then for our 5 packs, we ended up, when we ship them into Amazon now, we put them in a corrugated shipper and then just pack all those in a master box instead. So the Amazon team isn't picking this up and then throwing it into a box with other products. So we learned that we had to protect this even more or else it would kind of show up destroyed.
Flattened.
Dawn, did you have one of those damaged packages in your hand?
Yeah. So what they did, it's crazy, and it's so illogical. And I just wrote a blog post on this recently, which was, if Amazon can mess it up, they will. Okay. So here's your kind of, usually you guys get these all the time. And what they were doing is they're taking this 12 pack, which is as big as my head, and instead of putting it into a box, they were putting it into one of these and shipping it. And so it was getting crushed, right? Because, they throw it from the curb or whatever to your house. So that's a problem. Now they're taking the 5 pack and doing the same. 5 pack is not supposed to fit in an envelope, but they're doing it anyway. Now, lesson learned for us was, no matter how much you ask, you cannot get Amazon to change the way they're going to pack things up. And like you can order a box of, like I order a case of bubbly, for example. Well, I ordered a thing of Beck's broth, and of course it came in the box with the bubbly, And of course, it was crushed by the bubbly, right?
Mhm.
So you really got to think about, it's not just your 3PL doing one package D2C to somebody. That person could order 4 or 5 different things, and it all ships in one big box. And so you really got to think about that as part of the experience. And honestly, I didn't think that they would, like the 12 pack. I was surprised. I was annoyed by the 5, but I was really surprised at the 12 because I'm like, I couldn't even think that they would do that, but they did anyway.
Mhm.
And like,
Right.
just even touching base on that, if you guys are all familiar with Beck's Broth, we take our like communication with our community like very strongly, and like it's so precious to us.
Yeah.
So even though it was giving us headaches for a week, we ended up just like laughing about it and being like, oh my goodness. And we just told everybody what was happening. We went online, like onto social media stories, and we're just like, guys, like this is happening. Like, I'm so sorry. I compiled all the images that people were sending, and I just blasted them out to our Instagram like community, just being like, this is not who we are. Like, laugh at our pain right now, but like, I'm so embarrassed for us, but like, we're gonna do everything we can to fix it. But like, these are like the learning experiences and the trial and error that you do need to figure out with
Yeah.
anything. I'm so happy that we were able to nip it in the butt, and so happy that Dawn became our built-in therapist when this was happening. Because if we didn't have Dawn, I'm sure freaking out. But Dawn's like, everything's gonna be okay. We just need to pivot. But it was truly like a 2-week time in our time for us where we were like, what's happening?
And we didn't have inventory. So we sent all of our inventory to
Yeah.
Amazon, and we were like, what's going on? We don't have product. We don't want to ship this product.
So that was probably like one of our biggest headaches. But we were able to fix it like pretty much within a couple of weeks. We learned.
It's seen as a silver, like to laugh at it.
People love to laugh at it now.
Yeah.
And it's just all about being and sharing your brand story, and you learn from it, right? So
and it's so interesting because I remember I think Saturday morning, 8:30 in the morning, text, like, and with pictures, like, I think, and Beck's like, oh crap. I'm like, what the? It's too early for this. So
yeah, I'm like, Dawn.
So sorry.
No, got to deal with it, right? And that's something. Well, that's something, we have to deal with it. And, lesson learned for myself as well is like, hey, this is great for retail, may not be appropriate for Amazon. And so we went and, I think your team found a Uline box that you could use. We looked at the profitability and said, okay, cost is here. We're still pretty good. Let's just go with it. But it does think of the operational overhead of new master pack, new shipper, new this, like there's a lot that comes into it. And so you have to be able to absorb that and be ready for it.
Yeah.
Totally.
Well, it sounds like you guys rolled with it, even though it was a bit painful at the time, but good for you. And especially from your brand perspective to kind of reach out to your community and say, hey, this is a challenge, but we're working on it. That's really smart. Any other sort of lessons learned that, you wish you'd known before you started, or something that you just significantly changed how you think about either Amazon or just your business itself?
You want to do that one?
I could add one, which I think has been a good lesson for us, is getting reviews. You don't ask. If you don't ask, you don't get them. And that's just been a big lesson for us as a business too. Because when we first started, I just like dialed right into like asking everyone for a review when I put up the platform on our Shopify store, and then we just dropped it. And that's like another example of like, you need to stay on top of these things. And Amazon is, like you said, Sue, at the beginning, it's a springboard. It's where people are discovering you. So if you don't have reviews there, you're missing such a huge opportunity for growth and brand awareness and brand trust. So just when you're thinking about going on Amazon, I feel like there's a few things that you need to be prepared to do. One of them being reviews and investing the time and energy into getting them. They're not just going to come right away. Once they start, I think they just keep coming and coming because you start building that trust and there's that snowball effect. But definitely making sure you're investing in getting those reviews, and then making sure you have the team and the time to have inventory at their warehouse, have enough money to be able to afford to warehouse inventory at their warehouse, and just have the capacity. Like, Dawn will do a lot and your team does a lot for us in terms of reporting. We just need to show up and like listen to your reports for like once a month, but really just knowing that as much as you're going to do for us, we still need to keep putting into this strategy. It's not something you just do and then leave alone, just like any other retail channel in business.
Yeah. And it's so important on the inventory thing, because Amazon loves or hates you. There's really no in between. And if you start running out of inventory, you fight your way to the top. It's like snakes and ladders. You climb your way
Yeah.
all to the top and you go all the way back down. And it's a little bit better that you can climb faster each time you run out, but you're paying more for cost per click. You're paying more for raising yourself up the page again. So looking at a forecast and making sure you can cash flow that piece, or dial back on the ad spend to throttle in some way. So it's really about being strategic there.
And I think that's just like such a great thing about what it was like to work with you guys in the beginning. You guys taught us so much, and you guys have been like literally managing this account and making
Yeah.
it so easy for us to say, yeah, of course. Like, I think we were 2-3 months into our contract with you guys, and we actually made the decision to fully sign up with you guys again for all of next year.
Yeah.
We're like, this
Right.
just makes
We're locked in,
like,
baby.
we're locked in. Like, it does not make sense to actually leave you guys now, because you guys are just such an extension of us. And sure, we can bring somebody internal and like train them, but you guys have years of experience, and you guys are so dialed into what's happening, and we learn from you guys like every single day. Even when it comes to like all of the exporting stuff right now, it's like, oh well, like Dawn's already doing the research. So, like, Dawn, what's happening? Like, you tell us. And like it's just, it feels so comforting to be in this space, and just knowing that like we have you on our team. I think it makes us feel a lot better.
That's excellent. I forgot to say at the beginning that we will be taking questions. So if people have questions, you can use the Q&A tool. I'm so sorry, I forgot. You can use the Q&A tool. So if you've got them, like, just pop them in there. We'll get to them in a few minutes. And we did get some before, which we'll go over as well. On that note, you mentioned about the chapters wanting to have this new format. Has there been other stuff that you've learned either through the reviews or other things in the process of Amazon that has changed your non-digital sales?
I think some things we learned after even like reviewing the reporting. So we sit down with Dawn and the team every single month, and we review the reporting. And I think it's actually taught us how to change how we review our own internal reporting from our own personal e-com side of things. And then it's also like, okay, well, great. We can clearly see how well our ads are doing here. Maybe we should actually start finally investing in like Google ads or like Meta ads, because that's something we just don't do. So it's really provided a lot of comfort and like excitement about, okay, well, this is Amazon, but like, let's try and like dial this in other areas as well. And it's just made us feel, it's allowed us to have fun and to want to explore those options.
Okay. We do have some questions. Is there anything else that you guys wanted to say before we jump into some of the questions from the audience?
My biggest thing is, if you're a brand here and you're thinking about launching on Amazon soon, or like if you're thinking about launching on Amazon ever, start the conversation now.
Yeah.
Because I know Dawn and I talked a few months before we actually even applied to the was it Rising Star? What is it called? Sorry.
Rising Stars
No.
program.
What's your program called, Dawn?
Shine on Amazon.
We won't talk about that right now, because I know you're gonna get to it. But we actually talked months before we ever applied to that. And I think by having that conversation before we were even really ready,
Yeah.
it allowed us to dream about working with you one day. It allowed us to dream about being on Amazon one day. So we weren't ready when we first started or when I first got the idea, but our first conversation allowed us to put some words up on our vision board that we needed to work towards every single day. And then one day we became ready. So start the conversation now. Reach out to Dawn, reach out to somebody who that has an Amazon agency. I'm going to plug Dawn as much as I can, because he
Thank you.
but start the conversation now. It doesn't mean that you need to get working with him right away, but you're going to learn so much, and you're going to figure out how you need to move forward. So when you are ready, the time will be perfect.
Yeah, you might have some homework to do. Like a box
Yeah.
doesn't.
This took us so long
Lend
to
itself
develop.
up.
It
Yeah.
took us,
It doesn't happen overnight, eh?
no.
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Well,
That's
and
great.
it's interesting because that initial conversation, you're right, like especially with small brands. Like I've seen back at like the Guelph Farmers Market when she had it in the jars, and so seeing her grow this, and when she had a shelf stable one, it can start the conversation. But you have to have the cash flow to launch on Amazon. You have to have the ability to do packaging and those things. So it may not be ready today, but we can talk and look at what makes you ready tomorrow, and what does that look like along the way. And that to me is more important than how do I get you to sign today. That's not that's not it, because we want to make sure that you're going to have a great experience, and it requires you have enough money for some ads, you have enough money for inventory, you can deal with the drama of some of these things, because those are all going to come up.
Yeah. There's a lot of very specific questions coming in. There's a couple that came in before that are a little bit more general. And one I thought was interesting is, what is the ideal split operationally between Amazon and other channels? And I'm assuming that's going to depend.
That really depends. You know, my ideal client is one who does have an omni-channel experience. So certainly their own Shopify site, but brick and mortar awareness is a great way to amplify Amazon. Having an Instagram following, as you know, Beck and Dom mentioned, you know, those are people who already love us, and those are our first opportunity for great reviews of our product, because they're going to support us. And so we can pull them into the Amazon piece and start spinning the flywheel so that others who are not Beck's Broth aware will become Beck's Broth aware because of that great early stage investment from your existing followers. So, you know, there's no right or wrong answer, but, you know, definitely own Shopify, followers, other brick and mortar retail, that all ticks boxes that Amazon is a great opportunity.
Yeah. And one more thing to add. So we started working with Dawn back in, I think we launched on Amazon in November or December. And
Something
we've
like
been
that.
growing month after month through Amazon. And right now, Amazon makes up to probably about 10% of our overall business, but it's growing every single month.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it's really cool to like track these numbers and kind of compare them against our other channels like retail or our own e-commerce store and see where it's
Right.
sitting. And it's one of the fastest growing channels. So it's been really wild to see that statistic only after less than 6 months. So we're still in the very early beginning stages, but it's growing month after month, and it's been cool to
And
watch.
it feels like we're not doing anything.
Feels like we're not doing
The
anything.
sales just come in and we're like, we didn't have to do anything
Yeah.
for this.
Other than ship the product.
Other than the
Yeah,
product.
yeah.
You got to send the pallets to Amazon, but other
But
than that,
again,
we
your
do it.
team reminds
Yeah.
us when we're low on inventory and
Yes.
then we stuff in. So again,
Yeah.
it's really, we have to do the bare minimum. And sometimes I even forget that Amazon's a channel that we're actually working under, because I'm always on Shopify looking at those reports, pulling those numbers. And I was like, oh, wow, like at the end of the day, let me go and see what Amazon did today. And it's always so cool to look at that report and just be like, whoa, like we popped off on Amazon today, and like
Yeah.
figure out why we might have did that. So it's just really
Yeah.
cool. And even from a trade show or an event perspective, whenever I tell customers that they can shop Beck's Broth on Amazon, their eyes light up. They're
Get
like,
hype.
no way. So
Mhm.
of course we used to say, oh, you can buy us online. They're like, yeah. And it's like, oh, shop us on Amazon. They're like, oh, really? So it truly does excite everybody that we tell. And it just makes it easy for them. We have them messaging us a week later saying, hey, I met you at the trade show. I bought you on Amazon this week. And it's like the
Oh.
coolest thing.
I'm
to-
like be at the
to see.
hairdresser and I'll be like, oh yeah, we're on Amazon. People be like, boop boop, like okay, yeah, same day. Like that's how quick it is when you're on Amazon. People know how to shop there.
Nice, really nice. Okay, so there are people who definitely want to reach out and talk to you
Yep.
after Dawn, which is great. There's a question here with a high protein snack. Oh, it's just disappeared. Where
I
did
just answered it.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so one of the questions was about meltable products. And so if you have a product that's meltable, Amazon offers that between October 15th to April 15th. Anything outside that, you have to have your product out of the system. And so we've done some chocolates, we've done some candies, we've done those sorts of things. And we just have to be very careful about planning the inventory, because a lot of times, you know, if you do another shipment in March, you may have to have it recalled for April. So just something to consider, but all stuff that that we deal with.
Right, okay. There was a comment made by Becky earlier about exporting, and I think you said at the beginning that you're on the Canadian side now. You've also expanded to the US. We should talk about that a little bit, because clearly that's a big one right now.
Yeah, so the US piece, if you do Canada correctly, so when we work with Canadian brands, we typically start in Canada. And the reason for that is it's Canadian dollars, so it's cheaper. You're not paying the USD for the ads and such. But also in this class of goods, when you're dealing with food or natural health products, there's a lot more regulations for going across the border. And so we do it in Canada first, but when you set it up correctly, you can pull all the reviews down to the States. And so we're just in the process of doing that. We've done a couple shipments already, small shipments to test the system, and just going through the certification requirements to really ship pallets and everything across the border. But just got to be very careful about the USD conversion. I think it's 70-cent dollar Canadian right now. Do that, but we also have American clients who we get their Amazon US launched and see, hey, do we take it to Canada? Do we take it to the UK, Germany, France, etc.? So we work in all those markets. We just got to kind of plan that that ASIN, that product structure accordingly, so that reviews flow.
Excellent. There are a couple more questions. Oh, go ahead.
Just briefly from us, we did send that small bit of product down with no issues, which was great. Dawn called me on a Friday night and we got it all done. And we have just been getting sales without doing anything, which is so cool to see that the product is just moving in the US without any effort on our side. I'm assuming most of us on this call are in Canada, whether you're in Canada or the US. Like, if you're in Canada, there's so much noise right now about exporting and it being so scary, but working with someone like Don who works in both countries already, he just kind of just demystifies all the things, and we're all just on the same page of like, don't be scared of it, just do it, it'll be fine. Yeah.
Well, and what I've done, because these things, like, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an accountant, I'm not an export expert, but I have connections that do these things. And it's because we've had to do, like, we deal with a lot of natural health products and grocery goods. And so I've had to build that network naturally there. And so we have, people who do the FSVP program and certifications, or if you need new labeling, you got Nutrisource who does labeling and they're great. And so just having those connections is an important part, because for me, again, I can't do the labels. That's not my thing, but I need somebody who can, because I know my clients need it. And so that's what
You
we've
got a
done.
guy for that.
Yeah, right. Now there is one question I want to hit enter on, but I want to answer it too, is do you try to keep new customers in Amazon ecosystem or drive them to the e-com site for improved margins? And my answer to that is, I want you to get sales wherever it's most profitable. Now, what I mean by that is, as Dom mentioned, her hairdresser goes to Amazon immediately and buys it because she has Prime, right? So if there's a frictionless experience, that's where Amazon's going to win. Coming to your website, setting up the subscribe and save for your big 12-pack guy here, absolutely great. I love that. I know all roads will lead to Amazon at some point, and so I'm happy with you sending traffic to your Shopify. I'm happy you send it to Amazon. Let's test, measure conversions, and see which one's more profitable for you, right? And we look at profit is the overhead of shipping, logistics, returns, all the other rigmarole that goes on with doing some of those other channels as well should be rolled into it. But yeah, I don't care if you make a sale on Amazon or elsewhere. I'm just happy to see sales go, because you're going to see the general value of having someone manage the Amazon professionally in a way that helps all your channels.
Okay. And I mean, I know I'm speaking for Dom and myself, but we have both ordered Beck's broth on Amazon before, because we have found ourselves in a pitch where I had no product at home and I needed it for a photo shoot the next day, and I had to order it to my house. And I was like, thank goodness Amazon is next day, because it has saved us like so many times, which has been like super cool.
If you need a discount code, I know a person, I can get you one.
Okay. Yeah. If you like to support local, it's fine.
Too funny.
That's awesome. I know one of the questions that we got before the webinar was for somebody who's running a canned beverage brand, and they wanted to know whether they should be looking at 4-packs or 6-packs or 12-packs, or single flavor or mixed packs. And again, I'm sure there's depends there, but what's your thoughts on that?
So for beverage companies, and even for one of the SKUs we're launching with Beck's Broth is a mix pack. And so for beverages, we've done a lot of beverages. Mix packs win every time. Okay. People want to try your mix pack and then decide to buy your single flavor if they like it, right? The economic one that makes the most sense typically is a 12-pack. If you're dealing with kind of like, I've got a bubbly here, so that kind of size of can, typically a 12-pack is where you're going to actually make money, and you're going to fulfill those orders through Amazon. So 12-pack, mix pack is absolutely the winner for sure. And then having the individual 12-packs for those flavors, but it's like 4-to-1 in sales between mix pack and single flavor packages. That's what I've seen. Right.
Interesting.
I'll be real interested to see how it goes on Bex, because we're just doing that mixed pack now of the matcha, the chocolate, and the coffee flavor. I think it comes with a whisk,
A little gold whip.
Hello, go
right? A
to it.
little whisk, right?
Yeah.
And so it'd be a cool little gift pack, but also a great mixed pack for people to try before they then buy the 5 or go to their website and buy a big one.
Okay. There is one other question that's here, Don. I don't know if you want to try to tackle any
Yep.
pieces of it.
I can tackle it. So the MCF, multi-channel fulfillment, is a great service, and we do recommend it for most clients because it definitely can be helpful. Kind of a bit of a crash and burn with Bex, but we take a look at it. When you're doing multi-channel fulfillment, you're not paying Amazon for anything but shipping. You're not paying a referral fee. Most of the time, referral fee is 15%. You don't pay that. You're just paying them to ship. So the economic model is a bit different. But for something, I'm in Guelph. If I want to ship something to Toronto, it's going to cost me $20. If I want to ship it to Vancouver, it's going to be $20. Amazon, it's like $9. Okay, so you tap into that logistics platform, and it can be really, really good. And so with products that are like pill bottles and natural health products like that, it works really, really well. So you don't have to worry about ROAS, you don't have to worry about ads, you don't have to do anything about that for MCF. How do you come up with the pricing and bundling on Amazon, given the fee structure? Yeah. So when we look at packaging and bundling your product on there, Amazon has some great tools there's a revenue calculator, which I can throw that in the chat for people. And I used to have a spreadsheet that did all this. And honestly, Amazon kept changing their calculation methods. I couldn't keep up, and so I had to just use their own system. So I'll send that in the chat. And what it'll allow you to do is assume what your profitability is. And the numbers that I use is if you can make 20% profitability after 20% ad spend, then you have a product that we can do something with, okay? And the 20% ad spend is what's called your total sales and your ad spend. Because when you get an ad sale, that raises your organic ranking as well, which allows everything to rise up. And so if you spend $500 in ads and sold $2,000 of product in total, then your total ad spend as a percentage is 25%. Okay. So what we want to look at is how does that fit into your overall mix of your profitability? So if you go to the Amazon revenue calculator, you can Google it. I just put a thing in the chat. That'll allow you to define your product, put some numbers in the system. It's all transparent. And if you have questions about how to use it, reach out. We'll figure out how to walk you through it. But that's where we came up with the 5-pack and just changing some sizes and what have you to make sure it fit.
Awesome. Okay, that's great. Tons of advice here. We only have 2 minutes left. I mentioned at the beginning that the reason this duo is here is because of the contest that they had last year, and you are about to launch the contest again this year, I think next week.
Yep.
Mira's going to pop the link for that into the chat as well. Can you tell us a little bit about the contest?
Yeah, absolutely. So from a contest perspective, we did the Shine on Amazon contest. I'm a small business. It was the first time I'm really going out with the marketing side of that last year. And it was a way for me to help give back to a lot of the small businesses that have helped me grow my business. And so what we did is we said, somebody's going to win 6 months setup and 6 months of services for free. And we're going to see what we can do with that brand and get them to go. There are some requirements that you have to have, I think, $100,000 of annualized sales. And the only reason for that is to make sure you have ad budget, make sure that you have capital to drive inventory and what have you. Because if you're just starting out, it's not the right thing for you because you're going to have to spend some money yourself regardless. And so that's the grand prize. And that's what Beck and team were able to win. And then we also have some additional prizes. If you're already selling on Amazon and there's an audit, like we go through and do an audit of your page, provide feedback, what you should update, et cetera. And then there's also one which is, I think, 3 hours of time with me to go through and really coach you through all these things, more masterclass style. And so that's what we're offering again this year. We're kicking it off next week. It goes until middle of May, and then we're going to go through our decision-making process, which includes the wonderful little NPC, et cetera, just to make sure that we're giving people the opportunity and where it makes sense for them for their business to grow.
Excellent. And Rebecca and Dom, I'll give you guys the last word. Any thoughts for anybody in the audience who might be thinking about doing all of this?
Yeah, definitely apply, because
Apply.
winning this last year, it was like, I think we actually like shed some tears, because we're like, well,
Oh,
this was the
yeah.
I think you
time.
did.
Yeah.
It helped us out so much. And it was incredible that you guys were able to offer that. So I just want to say thank you again, because you really changed the trajectory of our business. And I think we almost needed that little kick in the butt
Yes.
by like to get on Amazon. And I think we got in at the most perfect timing. But yeah, timing is everything. And I think just start the conversation. And I think that's the best piece of advice I can give you for right now. And then also reach out if you ever have any questions. Dom and I's inbox are literally open books. So pop in there anytime.
For sure. And you know,
Excellent.
searching for an agency is a lot of work, and there's a lot of people out there. So just like anyone in business, just really make sure you vibe with them and you trust them as a human too. For us, Dawn being our neighbor just like made it such an easy, like, hell yes. But
Is our Amazon dad?
yeah. Sorry.
You guys are gonna make me cry now.
Nice
So.
stuff.
We have a story for you later.
Well, I thank you, ladies. You're wonderful.
Yeah.
Great. You guys, this has been really, really great. I know we've answered a lot of questions for people. We could probably keep going, but we're at the time. So thank you so much. And for everybody who's still here, we'll be sending out the recording of this later, and we'll post it on our website. And so will Beacon, so you'll be able to take a listen later. All right. Thank you,
Awesome.
everybody.
Thank you so much, folks.
Bye.
See ya. Bye-bye.